Lost in Translation is the second feature film from director Sofia Coppola. Released in 2003, the film follows two characters, Bob Harris played by Bill Murray and Charlotte played by Scarlett Johansson. Both characters are visiting Tokyo, Japan for different reasons. Bob Harris is a fading movie star in Tokyo to film a whiskey commercial. His character is miserable in his failing career, but also in his 25-year marriage with his wife. Charlotte is a recent college graduate and newlywed who is accompanying her photographer husband on his trip to Tokyo. Charlotte faces similar problems to Bob. She feels lost about her own future career and her marriage. As both characters start to run into each other and eventually start hanging out together, they express their feelings of unhappiness. Even though they have vastly different lives and are vastly different ages, they are able to help and confide in each other, thus leading to the true meaning of the film. The film expresses the idea of loneliness and uncertainty and feeling lost in life, but more specifically, how those feelings can affect anyone, no matter what age or background. The importance of human connection. The movie is placed within the romance category and definitely has romantic elements, but really the characters have more of a deeper connection than something that is purely romantic or physical. One of the most important aspects that nails the feeling of lostness is the setting. The film would not have worked the way it did without the setting being in Tokyo. Per the title, Lost in Translation, both Bob and Charlotte are foreigners in Tokyo and have trouble fitting into a different culture, Bob having the most trouble out of the two. They are both figuratively lost in translation with what they want for their lives, and literally lost in translation with the language barrier. It's both clever and makes the film that much more effective. Cinematography is a tool that is used purposely in the way the characters feel in the film. Whenever the characters are not together and feeling those lost thoughts, the shots are much wider. A lot of times just a singular long shot. For example, when Bob gets in the hotel room for the first time, he sits on the bed in a robe. The shot that was also used for the poster. The entire scene is shot at one singular long shot, emphasizing the feeling of his loneliness and uncertainty in his new environment. In Charlotte's case, similarly in the hotel room, when her husband is away, she can be seen sitting at the window. Once again, a singular long shot. The area around both characters is in focus in these shots, and both characters feel lost within their mind and the area they now find themselves in. When they are both together, the shots are tighter, signifying that things are better when they hang out together. They are good for each other and can help each other with what they really want to get out of life, no matter how much life either of them has or hasn't lived yet. Another small but important aspect in the film is its color. The film is consistent with its color palette, being cool-toned and pretty plain, aside from the pops of color on billboards and lights. However, it can be noticed that some colors tend to be brighter during important moments. For example, when Bob and Charlotte are out doing karaoke with friends, Bob has on a bright camo shirt, vastly different from his usual business casual attire we see him wear throughout the rest of the film. And Charlotte has on what would become very iconic, a bright pink bob wig, covering up her natural blonde hair. That night, and specifically that scene at the karaoke bar, is when Bob and Charlotte truly connect. Looking at it through the lens as a romance, it's the moment they both realize the feelings they have for each other. My favorite use of color would have to be the color of the stoplights. Throughout the film, the stoplights in the city are only shown to be red. However, when Bob leaves to go home, the lights turn all green. Red signifying lostness and how it's not time to go yet. It's not the right time, and the characters still need to learn. The green lights signify the lesson and the objective of the film was achieved. It is time to go. It is now the end of the film. Lastly, lighting is used very naturally in the film. The film has a slice-of-life quality to it, almost like a documentary. The lighting, along with other elements such as sound, contribute to its effect. It just feels real, just as the theme and issues the characters face are real too. The scenes at night feel organic, not worried about whether the shot is underexposed. It gives off an indie feel many of the A24 films try to emulate today. Now, this film is personally one of my favorites, and one of the first films that truly got me interested in becoming a filmmaker. It's a simple film, yet it's so much deeper, and one of those films that would connect with some people more than others. Its small details and small moments of humor make it memorable, and that's all thanks to Bill Murray, and it was obviously a perfect casting choice. It's a film that very obviously displays that thought was put into the production and that it actually means something to the director, and it just feels like it matters to the audience and everybody. The film went on to be nominated for 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. It ultimately won for Best Original Screenplay, which I think is highly deserved, and Lost in Translation, along with earning the Oscar, solidified Sofia Coppola's place in film as a series director and not just the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola. Something I feel really strongly about with the film is that it really changed the way that rom-coms can be made and presented in film. Throughout the 80s and 90s, before the film, rom-coms were obviously huge, with titles such as When Harry Met Sally and Pretty Woman being part of the most famous. Lost in Translation changed the way the rom-com genre could be presented in film. Sofia Coppola told Rolling Stone, "I was just doing my thing at the time it was made. I did notice that watching it with my kids because they're teenagers and they were like, what's going on with that? But Bill is so lovable and charming. Part of the story is about how you can have romantic connections that aren't sexual or physical. You can have crushes on people where it isn't that kind of thing. Part of the idea was that you can have connections where you can't be together for various reasons because you're at different points in life." Lost in Translation shows that the rom-com genre can be broken out of its standard mold. It doesn't have to follow the same formula, and it can be infused with other elements. Overall, the film shows that rules don't necessarily need to be followed all the time. Not only for rom-coms, but for any aspect of film. Films can be experimental and whatever you want it to be. Lastly, the film had a prominent impact within media and culture. As mentioned before, Scarlett Johansson's pink bob wig is a huge symbol in pop culture now. In Mike Nichols' Closer, 2004, released a year after Lost in Translation, Natalie Portman is seen wearing the same wig as Scarlett. As in Lost in Translation, the pink wig Natalie Portman wore also became a recognizable symbol. Within the music sphere, the film has been referenced multiple times in music videos. In Shawn Mendes' Lost in Japan, the film not only influenced the video, which has Mendes recreating scenes from the film, but the song's lyrics also relate to the film. In The Weeknd's Out of Time music video, there are references to scenes such as scenes in the karaoke bar and the elevator. Lastly, the entire music video for Rosalia's Candy references the karaoke scene, and the pink wig even makes an appearance. Sofia Coppola's Lost in Translation explores the idea of lostness and uncertainty through an unorthodox rom-com that's not only become iconic in pop culture, but has changed the way genres can be defined. It uses both the narrative and technical aspects to strengthen its theme and truly shares a message in a way that the audience can connect and engage in. If you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend. It's honestly a great movie. It may not be for everybody, but if you get it, you just get it. It's great.